Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cheap Seats. This is your weekly English Premier League show where we discuss all things that have happened in the Premier League over the past weekend, also the previous week, or whatever to come. Anything that's happening in the Premier League, we will discuss it. Even the fact that Spurs lost to Burnley, but they managed to beat Leeds. Just by 4 goals.
We're still talking about that.
Hey, look. But hey, look, you got Marcelo Bielsa fired, so El Loco is gone. I feel so bad because I really liked him as a coach. I'm unlike Wahid. I really liked him as coach. Remember, the show is sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA. Please do go to their website at classicshirts.co.za and Classic Shirts ZA. We've got a shirt we've been talking about. We've been talking about the shirt for a very, very long time. This is our shirt of the week. This is my childhood. This is what I grew up watching. This is what I grew up supporting. Bafana Bafana 1992 to 1996, the AFCON Championship Edition. This is the kit that they won AFCON in. So if you want to relive those days with Lisiba, John Shoes Mashrou there in the middle, or Dr. Khumalo, or all the other greats in that side, please do look out for the Classic Shirts on their Instagram page. There will be a price reveal this week. They've gotten they're about to start producing and selling these shirts. So please go look out on their website. It is Classic Shirts ZA, or their Instagram page, because I know, like Wahid and Dean and even Teppo, I'm excited for this kit. I just want to put up one more time, guys. Oh, man.
If you don't like this kit, you hate your country, basically.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Also, it reminds us of when we actually could play soccer. SABC has this one tape of South Africa versus Germany, and they played every week whenever they don't have PSL games, and you just see them in this kit just bossing Germany around. They didn't beat them that day, but they made them cry a little bit. They also played Brazil in this kit in 1996. They even ended up being ranked 16th in the world. So if you want to have a piece of South African football history that isn't the World Cup.
There was also a very nice kit that followed it, that Adidas one that they wore in '98 World Cup when we played France.
That was still the Catholic. Oh, that one was really nice. I enjoyed that one. So if Yusuf wants to bring that one too and take my money, please, just maybe wait until the end of the year. Because this one's
talking about Pierre Essa and Teppo's going who?
I'll do my research, I promise. I'll come back. Don't worry. The glory days.
So Teppo, in that time in 98, we had a coach named Philippe Troussier. He was French. And so he didn't like, I don't know why he didn't like our defenders, but he found a way to get this guy who was born in France, but was a South African citizen, because someone, I think his mom was South African, to play for South Africa. And the first game of the World Cup, we played France, and he scored an own goal.
Doesn't sound like I said.
That's perfect.
But he played for 4 years. He played for 4 years for South Africa. It was the 2002 World Cup as well. It was just wild that this guy was still there. But anyway, today we have an interesting thing this week, guys. The Manchester Derby is happening, and that's why Wahid is wearing blue. I don't know why he's wearing blue. But anyway, we'll allow you, because that kit was the kit that broke my heart but many years back. I don't care about Van Persie. I care about the Ronaldo years, because those are the ones that really were hard. But anyway, the question for
this is not the Ronaldo kit. This is the 2002 kit. Van Nistelrooy scored against you in this kit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. We're not going there. Anyway, because it looks so similar to that year where you had black. And so I thought you had a blue kit in that year that you had black. But anyway,
2009 Champions League semi-final. Ronaldo scored a cracking free kick from 45 yards out.
Yeah,
there he goes. Don't start. Don't start.
Okay.
I'll probably buy that kit. I like to finish this collection. So I think we should put that on the website.
Call Yusuf after this. Okay. So Manchester City, this title race is a 2-horse race. It's City, it's Liverpool. And it's going down to the wire, because if somebody makes a mistake, they're gonna pretty much, the other one's gonna usurp them. There is that game, the Liverpool City game later on in the year, but Liverpool could use a little help from their friends. And the first friend, which is an old enemy and an old foe, comes in the form of Manchester United. Spurs gave them a lifeline. Thank you, Dean. I'm sure the Liverpool fans will be sending you Mo Salah shirts in the post. But then the next team that could give them a lifeline is Manchester United in the Manchester Derby. And so the first topic for the day, can United beat City? And Wahid's been on his soapbox in our little WhatsApp group, Dean. He says that United have played City 8 times in recent head-to-heads. They've won 4. The other, City have won 3, and they've drawn 1. And so my only problem with Wahid's statement is that I think in those 4 games, Paul Pogba played a really instrumental role in those wins, but we'll talk about that. But do you think, because you're the last team to beat City, can this Ralph Rangnick ex-GFC do it?
I mean, you put up a question there, can United beat City? No. It's as simple as that. There's a couple. I mean,
same question 2 weeks ago. Could Spurs beat City? The answer was no.
He's not
right. But we're a better team than you. So I think the Manchester Derby is about as important as the South Coast Derby between Southampton and Bournemouth at the moment. Like, no one really cares about it, if I'm honest. I mean, it's a big game just in terms of the United fans wanting to get one over City. But like, honestly, and all jokes aside, United could rock up and they could show City a little bit, but for how long? And I think that's the bigger question. I think you looked at that game again on the weekend against Watford, and I said it in our little WhatsApp group that Bruno should have scored 4 goals in that game, and he just it wasn't clinical enough. And I think if there's any team that's going to hurt you, that when you don't take your chances, it'll be City. And we saw that on the weekend as well with City Everton. Fine, Everton didn't have the most clear-cut chances, but they did put City under a little bit of stress. And during the game, you could see like City were obviously pushing, not as great and as amazing as we used to, but they still find a way to win, and they'll still find a way to get a goal. And even if you talk about that Spurs game, I mean, they got a penalty in the 92nd minute, and they probably deserved to win, if not draw that game, based on their possession stats and how hard they were pushing us. So, clear-cut answer, I don't think United can beat City, but at the same time, City have looked a little bit vulnerable over the last 2 weeks with those games against Spurs and Everton. So, I think that's probably something that United fans are looking at and going, well, if Spurs can do it, maybe we can do it. Or if Everton can put them under the cosh for 85 minutes or whatever it was, maybe we can do it. But I think now, and we all know the kind of coach that Pep is, he would have watched those 2 games, and it's not like he's going to sit there and be like, okay, just keep trying to do the same thing. He's going to absolutely hound them, and there's just as much pride for them in this game as there will be for United. He wants to beat them. He wants to now. He's got even more of a reason to want to beat them based on their last 2 performances. So I think them not performing the greatest over the past 2 weeks is probably a worse thing for United, because City are going to now rock up even more than what they were. And having Grealish is back. Not that he played or not that he starts, but having they're getting Grealish back. They're getting some of the other guys from injury back. I'll be surprised if like Foden plays and things like that. But I still think on the day, City, even if United put them under absolute pressure, City will find a way. They always do. And that's the reason why they're sitting on top of the table as they are. So I think it'll be a good game, but I don't think United can beat them.
Temple, looking at the way Manchester United play, looking at the way City play, is there a way in which Manchester United can actually beat them?
I'm not sure about how they play, but I do know that it's the time of the season when games are coming in thick and fast, especially for teams in the Champions League, teams in cups, and Pep rotation should really be coming to the fore right now. But people aren't like scoring as prolifically as before, and you'll see that game sort of go to the wire and sort of can go to chance. And if any team can rock up on the day, as Dean said, it could be United, just for Gia's sake, because I mean that's Manchester United is like a Gia's team, and they can really rock up on the day. And I mean I'm thinking of Paul Pogba, the goals that he scored in these types of matchups as well. Literally anything can happen. I mean, if he just plays, he just has one spark, everyone just gets inspired, everyone starts connecting properly, and everything just clicks for a moment. That could be what counts. But at the same time, Manchester United's defensive vulnerabilities could be an issue for them, because the thing about City is that they're relentless. So anything can happen. So you're gonna have to be as solid as you can to keep them out as long as you can, and take the chance when it comes. You need to punish them when you get the chance.
So my thing, Wahid, and I know it's your birthday week, so happy birthday. And so they're playing on your birthday weekend, and we used to play Spurs on my birthday weekend, and I would hate playing them because I'm like, oh, this team's just gonna let me down. But in your favor, you're winning games, or you're much better competitively than you were in December. So that's a plus in your book. City are stumbling. It's like Pep needs to somehow find the formula again with a different set of players to get them going forward again, because that movement that would have hurt you and has hurt all of us, except for Dean and Spurs, it seemed like it's no longer there. When they're in City are fluid and they're moving, but it's not there. But it's a derby game, and City tend to get tight in games like this, and I don't know why. Because my for the life of me, I'm like, dudes, like these guys have been smashing you for like 30, 40 years. You might as well just, throw caution to the wind and show them. But they get tight. And they've gotten tight in these games in recent times, which is why the record is yours. Do you think this United team that gives you like the 45 halves and then a 45 flat, that in that flat 45 minutes, they'll do enough to keep themselves in the game for that other 45 minutes to be able to try and win it or even draw?
That's the question, Paul. And that's what I was going to speak to, is that United, I know we just talked about defensive frailties, but actually in the last month or two, we've actually shored up the defense. But we're not conceding as many chances as we were, and we're not conceding as many goals as we were in that November October period. Be that as it may, it is a derby, and I think form goes out the window. I think absolutely anything can happen on the day. And so, yeah, I'd like to believe United can beat City. I'd really like to believe that we have it in us to beat City. And call me deluded, call me a lot of things. I think that we've seen that before. We've seen form go absolutely out the window, and a crap United side beat City a few times. I mean, City were a juggernaut heading to the title a couple of seasons ago. They were 2-0 up at halftime, and a team with a piano playing fraud went and turned that over and beat them 3-2. So like it's not unheard of for us to win, for us to beat City. United have actually had a good record against Pep in the recent past. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think if you watch the Spurs game quite carefully, there's something to be said for making Cancelo try and defend. Cancelo is a fullback / playmaker who doesn't really like to defend, and if you can try and peg him back, and if you can try and make him defend, that might be a little bit of a kink in the armory for City. He doesn't like defending. He doesn't like being on the back foot. And if you can try and make him do the defensive dirty work, City don't like it. City don't.
But if you look at the guy on the right, that's Diogo Dalot. Does Diogo Dalot have it in him to try and push a little bit further to push him back?
I don't know. He even plays. I don't even think he plays.
Whether he plays, whether Wan-Bissaka plays, because Wan-Bissaka has historically done really well against City because he managed to shackle whichever winger he's playing against, and that's what Wan-Bissaka is good at. He's good at one-on-one. He's good at one-on-one defending. So he probably is the player who I'd pick in a one-on-one battle with whichever winger Pep picks. But it goes then to who you're going to pick on the right, because generally the form attacker at the moment is Sancho, and he's done much, much better on the left than he has on the right. So do you shift him to the right of this game and try and get him to peg Cancelo back? Or do you carry on picking maybe Marcus Rashford out on the right or pick someone else out on the right to try and pick Cancelo back? Because the other players aren't in as great form or aren't in any sort of form when you compare them to Sancho. So the temptation might be to stick Sancho on the right and try and get him to pick Cancelo back.
Okay.
I will say this on the reason, one of the things that Spurs did to beat City, and you could see it, is try to condense that box a lot. Like any ball that City tried to play in, there were so many Spurs shirts there, but we played and we left Kane or Son fairly high up so that if we got the ball, it was break. And that if you look at the goals we scored, it was literally all three were on breaks, and exactly that. So if United can try and do that, and it's pure pace. So we had Son running with pretty much all three, and Kulusevski on the other side. It's pace that beats them and running at them and then looking to get that ball in the middle and someone to get on it. So I don't know if United, Sancho probably, but then you also need like Ronaldo to start getting his head onto things, which would then maybe start putting a little bit more pressure on that.
Do you want to find funny?
Personally, I probably wouldn't play Ronaldo in this game. Like I wouldn't
play Ronaldo in any game.
Wait, hold. Oh, Wahid, you should. You know why?
Show
City what they missed them. Yes, you stole him from them. That was the reason why you bought him.
I would leave him out. He doesn't give United as much of a fluidity up front as you believe. He's not a good centre forward. He is a winger who's tried in his older age to convert himself into centre forward, and I don't think he is a good centre forward.
You know, you're talking about a guy who scored like 50 goals in Italy and in Spain every single season.
I never thought I'd see the day when I looked at Cristiano Ronaldo and I almost felt sorry to have him on the pitch. And against Watford, I did. He was shockingly bad. He was like really, really, really off the pace. And if we're going to try and play on the break, if we're going to try these fast counter-attacks, which we've heard teams with before, like, for example, when we played Chelsea, when we were in our rut, we played Chelsea under Michael Carrick. We left out Ronaldo. We played with Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford as the only attackers, and it actually worked out in the end because we were able to break quickly. Yes, it came from a mistake against Chelsea, whatever the case may be, but we actually played quite well in that game. And I would personally probably go with a similar tactic in this game.
Okay.
Or use Ronaldo as a marksman. Use Ronaldo as a marksman.
But he doesn't work on the break, and he's not even a distributor, you know, and you can't hold that play either for people running on.
You just need Sancho to play in the wing a little bit in the corner. Get a ball in.
Just leave Ronaldo on the bench.
He doesn't do the same job. So Cavani last season, when we tried to play on the break, Cavani was able to, despite his age, do the job to allow the other players around him to play on the break. And Ronaldo isn't doing that job. He's not doing the job for others. He's trying to do a job for himself. And I find that he's a little bit selfish in the way he plays, and that's probably why I'd leave him out this weekend. You need a player who buy into the team mentality this weekend.
One question for you, and this is the last one. How do you feel? How do you feel if you beat City that you'll be helping Liverpool win another title and get closer to your mark of 20?
Honestly, like all I care about is United winning games. Liverpool are going to win more titles. City are going to win more titles. It's the nature of how the league has progressed. And if one way or another, one of our arch rivals are going to win the league. So I don't really care who it is. A couple of seasons ago, I might have cared because Liverpool hadn't won one in 1,000 years. Now I don't care. Like one of them are going to win the league. It is what it is. United aren't good enough to win the league. So what I care about is I care about Manchester United winning games. I care about Manchester United making fourth. And in order to make fourth, we need to win games. So I don't care what happens post that, to be perfectly honest.
Okay. Speaking about teams finishing in places that their fans want them to, there are some teams out there that their fans will be hoping that they finish outside of a certain position, and that is that bottom three. It is the relegation battle. I think it's that time because now Newcastle have found a way through Joe Linton to try to get themselves out of that hole that is the relegation zone. So we're going to have a look at that. The next topic of our is who's going down, and I've asked the guys. We've had discussions even on our own WhatsApp group with some of our friends about who's going down. Guys are talking about fixtures. Guys are talking about odds. Guys are talking about Newcastle's put in money, but I'd love to see them go down and fight in the championship with those stars, which I'd like them to. But here's the lay of the land in the Premier League. There are 7 teams in the bottom who are separated by 7 points. You can include Leicester, who are on 27 points, and that would make it 10. But I don't know how Leicester fans feel about this, because it's been a very, very bad season, but I'm going to leave them out for now. The 7 teams are
13th. That's hectic.
I know. I looked at it. I was like, Leicester are 10 points away from safety. From the last team. They're actually about 7 points away from safety. But it's Watford, Newcastle, Burnley, Norwich, Everton, Leeds, and Brentford. This weekend we watched Newcastle beat Brentford, and Newcastle went above them. The odds of these teams going down, I'm going to read them, and then we're going to have a discussion of who's going down and who's going up. Is that these odds are, as of today, Norwich have the best odds of going down, 1/16, 1 in 16. Watford are 1 in 5 with their new coach, Roy Hodgson, who just keeps on coming out of retirement. I don't understand why. Leeds are 13 and 8, so they are the next highest to go down. And Burnley are 7 and 4 in going down. Brentford 15 and 8. Everton 7 and 2, which is 3.5 to 1. And Newcastle are 9 to 1 to go on. So now Newcastle have changed their fortunes. They're the least likely team to go down. But let's talk about them. Money buys you out of problems, it seems. Tsepo?
Yeah, when you said fortunes, I was like, fortunes. Literally.
But, you just put money down and you get yourself out of relegation.
Basically, that's basically the formula to the Premier League. And you have to make good purchases to get yourself out of these holes. And they made good purchases. I said this for a while. Kieran Trippier, fantastic purchase. A senior player. He's of great ilk. World Cup finalist. I tend to forget. But anyway, semi-final. Yes.
Europe. Yes. But Temple, what are your 3? Of the 3 that I've named, what are your 3 teams?
It's a toss-up between... So it's basically Norwich, Watford, and it's a toss-up between Brentford and Leeds, because these are 2 teams that are on the way down. Brentford haven't won a game in a very, very long time.
Yes, they've lost 4 in the last 5, and the 5th one they drew.
Yeah, and that was Crystal Palace. And that's the thing, with Burnley, at least Weghorst is scoring goals for them. Everton may have a new manager bounce, and they have many games in hand, and so do Burnley. But Brentford, 27 games, Leeds 26. That's where the battle is going to be. So I'm not sure, but let me say Brentford, because
have you seen Everton's end to the season?
Nah, I haven't. Well,
Everton play Spurs, Newcastle, then United, Liverpool, Chelsea, all like in succession. Leicester, and the end with Arsenal.
That's heavy.
I'm most worried about Everton, for sure.
Why, Dean? Why? So we know Norwich and Watford, and we love Emmanuel Dennis. They fired Ranieri at the wrong time. Now they're going down. You deserve that. But Everton, what has gone wrong? Outside of Super Frank, there were problems before Super Frank, but what's going on?
So, I think everyone can agree Watford and Norwich are gone. And the reason why I say Everton is, there's a couple reasons. So, as Wahid mentioned, they've still got to play quite top half of the table teams, if you want to call it that. And a lot of them in quick succession. So that's a lot of tough games that you have really quickly, demoralizing. I think for me, one of the most telling signs is this past weekend, and I mentioned it before I can't remember, but I think having played as well as they did against City, and they did play well, watching that game, they weren't terrible, but they did hold City, and it was a stupid mistake by Michael Keane at the back to give Foden that goal. But having played so well and to still lose the game, I think makes those players kind of go, what else? What more can I actually do to stay up? I gave my heart and soul out. Goodison was pumping, Oaks were going crazy, and they still lost. And I think I would say Dele Alli is probably it's the worst purchase they've ever made. That guy he can't play football anymore. Donny's playing fairly well.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
He played well at City. He did play.
He played all right. He played all right, but
what I'm saying is all right. He's not fantastic.
The first bit of the first game he played. Other than that, he's been dead average. Let's Donny hasn't been good. He hasn't been to the level you'd expect him to be playing. No, I'm not biased. I want Donny van de Beek to do well. I'd really like Donny van de Beek to come back.
The man hasn't seen grass in a year and a half. What do you expect? He's just like touching grass for the first time.
Fair enough, but he hasn't been good. Call it a spade a spade. Don't make excuses. Call out the performance, what it is.
But he's good for Everton. He's not good for United. He's not good for a top-off table. He's good for Everton, and that's his. It's sad because he did really well at Ajax, but we're not going to start a Donny conversation. I think for me, DCL being out's a massive thing. Doucouré being missing for most of the season, there's a lot of holes that have happened during the season, which has led to them being here. But Frank he did well at Derby, did well in his first season at Chelsea, but he doesn't have that. Well, he got them to the promotion playoff. Again,
he took it from 6th to 6th and spent a lot of money in doing that. He's not a good manager.
You literally said that he's not a bad manager a few weeks ago.
Okay. Let's park the super fan debate for another time. Finish your point.
Anyway, what I'm saying is they've got a lot of guys in that squad that aren't used to being in the position that they're in and don't know how to fight to get out of the position they're in. So Dele's not used to relegation battle, but Donny's probably not. DCL's not. Richarlison's not. That whole back line doesn't know what they're doing. Pickford looks lost again if he doesn't have defenders, and he doesn't have defenders. So I'm more worried about Everton from that point of view. They might have a few more games in hand, but the games that they do have in hand are not fantastic. And new manager bounce didn't happen. They beat Leeds, but my under 16B soccer team from 10 years ago could beat Leeds at the moment. So it's not a great set of circumstances. And Everton are very much like one of those field clubs. They go a lot on, the fans get behind you when they can see you putting in effort and getting on the ball and wanting to fight. And I just think some of those performances are just going to start tailing off. And as soon as that starts happening, you're going to start getting boos in the stadium. You're going to start getting fans not happy again. And it's just like the cycle repeats. So that's why I'm most worried about it.
Yes, because and I think for me, Leeds has an easier running than Everton. But I think Everton have players with institutional knowledge who can get themselves out and eke out wins against teams like Arsenal who find a way to lose games when they're not supposed to win. But Wahid, do you agree on the two? Like Norwich and the Watford are going, was there a team that you're saying is following without them? So if we agree on the two, who of the other five is going down? And is it Everton or is it Leeds or is it someone else?
I don't know, and five doesn't go into one very easily, but I don't think any of those teams are very good. I think that if you look at them, I think that Everton have a very hard set of fixtures. As Dean said, they don't have a team of players who know how to craft. They don't know how to pull themselves out of a hole. So I worry for them, and I don't think they have a manager who knows how to do that. Frank has never done that sort of thing. He managed Burnley. He managed Derby from 6th to 6th and threw a lot of money at them. He managed Chelsea. I didn't think he did a particularly good job at Chelsea, but he hasn't managed teams in that situation before. Whatever job I think Frank did at Chelsea is irrelevant, but I don't think that he has the know-how to get this team out of trouble. This team doesn't need a Frank Lampard. This team needs like a Sam Allardyce.
They need a big Sam. That's literally what they need.
And the same can be said for Leeds. The way Leeds are playing, the way Leeds are shipping goals, going to America and getting Ted Lasso isn't going to help them. They need Big Sam. They need someone who's going to shore up the defense. And I worry for both. So Leeds, the problem with them at the moment, and honestly, I hope they go down. I can't stand them in the league anymore. I just really hope they go down. But anyway, their problem is that they're going to be in flux, and they're going to be in flux at a bad time. They're going to be changing manager at a bad time. They're going to be changing manager at a time when they need to be trying to consolidate the season and trying to stay up. And flux isn't going to help because Marcelo Bielsa coaches in a very specific way, and this new Oak, whoever the hell he is going to coach probably in a very different way to Leeds, to the way Bielsa has done, and it's going to be a lot of flux at a bad time. So if I'm a betting man, if I'm choosing one of those 5 to go down, who I want to go down is Leeds, and who I think is going to go down is Leeds.
Okay.
But the thing is, the Leeds. But here's my thing.
I don't know if I've hidden it very well, but I really, really don't.
Yeah, we know you don't like them. So we're
trying
to get an unbiased opinion. And my point is this: Leeds have gone through the big teams. They no longer have to play the big teams. They've gotten smacked. Everton are staring beatings in the face, and the only way they can get out is if Frank is the coach that the coach that Chelsea thought he was. And also the coach that Everton think he'll be, and I don't think he's Sam Allardyce. And there's a case that they could have gone for like a Sam Allardyce, because Everton's problem was defensively. The team that's going to and it's not about scoring goals and winning games. It's about conceding less. It's about making sure that you can turn that 1-0 loss against a team in and around you into a draw. Or you can turn that 0-0 into a 1-0.
They still have to play us. we the masters of letting teams change a 1-0 loss into a 1-1 draw. They have to play
guys. Can I just quickly step in here with the concerns for Everton? Yes, they looked a little sloppy against Southampton, but I mean, with Man City, they literally only lost 1-0. It's not like they're shipping in goals, and that's literally the best team in the league at the moment.
Yeah, but the way they conceded that goal is what's
that was shambolic. That was just
the thing is, like, you can play really well for 86 minutes, but that's the thing. That's why you can play really well for 86 minutes.
Look at the Southampton game and look at the Newcastle game. They were absolutely shambolic in those games.
Terrible.
Oh, that's true. Okay, I still think that they have time to turn around, and they have time to catch a quick draw. And for me, you can catch a quick draw against Tottenham, really. Because Tottenham can also have a crap game. Wolves also struggle to score sometimes. Guys, it's all about getting draws at the moment. You don't need to come out here score goals. Get draws.
But that's my point. My point is you need a coach who can solidify you defensively to make sure that you can catch draws by closing shop at the back. Everton's biggest problem was never up front. It was those 5-6 guys at the back who just conceding goals and ridiculous goals like that. You can see now they try, but against City, you're conceding. You're like, why are you conceding these dumb goals? Whereas if a Sam Allardyce was in there, Sam Allardyce, the best thing was West Brom last year. Yes, they went down, but West Brom fought until the end. West Brom were hard to beat. West Brom, the only game West Brom actually struggled was against Arsenal. And it kind of felt that they were trying to attack us, and then they fell into a trap. Whereas against all the other big teams, West Brom was solid. They defended with 9 players, and they kicked the ball up. That's what Burnley's doing. That's what Watford's going to do. Leeds might not do that with Ted Lasso, so that's why I'm worried about them. But I know that Frank's not going to come in and defend. Frank's not going to be like, guys, we're going to play with 8 defenders. We're going to try to kick the ball up to DCL or whoever's available and see if they can't score goals. And that's my biggest worry about Everton. And the other thing about Leeds is that they've already gone through the big teams. They've already been smacked. Everton's about to feel a beating. And I don't know if Frank has it in him, because you've seen Frank. You should be telling us if Frank can set a team up defensively, Temple.
I'm not sure he can set up a team defensively, but I don't think he's like a absolute clown, It's not like he did get Chelsea to a Champions League spot in his first year, and then he got the fun.
If you're still playing Seamus Coleman, the man is 1,000 years old.
But
moving on.
I don't know.
How is that backline? Who's it? It's Seamus Coleman, Michael Keane.
Is it playing? Not Holgate.
Holgate maybe. Yerry Mina's injured, I think.
It's just holes. That guy's a clown.
There's just holes everywhere, and I don't think you come into that squad, flick the switch, tell them to do a few things, and boom, they're instantly better defenders. It's just not gonna happen.
All I'm saying is that these guys versus Brentford guys that are literally seeing the Premier League for the first time, I'm saying Brentford, bye-bye, guys.
I want to talk about Brentford. I'll talk about Brentford for a bit. Brentford's next two games are Norwich and Burnley, which are then relegation battle games.
So if they lose those, they're in the.
If they lose that, then I think the conversation's very different.
Those are 6 pointers.
Yeah. So, I watched that game, Brentford Newcastle, and Brentford got a red card in like the 10th minute. So like stupid by the player. I can't even remember who it is from Brentford, but they had a really great start to the season. Everyone was aware they smashed Arsenal, COVID stricken or not. But they looked good, and Tony did well, not really well, but they've got goal scorers in that team. They haven't lit it up in the Premier League like everyone thought they would, but they can score goals. I do think the Eriksen transfer. I watched him on, and the reason why I watched the Brentford game was to see Eriksen play, and he did play well. He does look like he can get the team ticking a little bit. He does look like he's not going to play every game, all game. But I do think he does bring a little bit of seniority, a little bit of class, a little bit of expertise into that team, which is probably lacking. And I think that's the next two games for Brentford are obviously going to decide their season. That's a no-brainer. But I feel a little bit safer to say Brentford. I think they'll probably finish 16th. I don't think they're going to stay up or 17th. I don't think they're going to stay up by much. But I do feel a little bit safer just based on the fact that they also, their toughest games, they've got to face Chelsea and United and Spurs. The rest of the games are kind of around, like they've got Norwich still, Burnley still, Watford still. And then the end to the season is Southampton, Everton, Leeds, which are games they could maybe win, could probably scrape a draw from. So I think Brentford, I'm a little bit okay to say they might just get through. And of the 7 teams, 5 teams, whatever we're talking about, I'd be happier for Brentford to stay up than Everton, just because.
Is it because Christian Eriksen's there?
Literally, just because Christian Eriksen's there. He's only there for 6 months, but I do think I just think Brentford are the way that clubs run is really cool. I think they just bring something else to the Premier League. I think they're just a cooler team, if I'm honest. So just on vibes.
Well, there's a team we spoke about, Leicester. They're 10 points. They're 10 points away from Norwich, but about 7 points away from safety. You say they have a tough run in.
They have to play Chelsea. They have to play Arsenal. They have to play United. They have Derby against Villa. They have to play Newcastle. They have to play Spurs. They have a tough run in, and they have Europa League.
The worst defensive record in the league. One of the worst.
Yeah, and they have Europa League. They have Europa League commitments, which doesn't help when it comes to Sunday fixtures in the Premier League. So I'm not saying that they're going to go down. I am saying that they could be brought into the conversation in 3 or 4 weeks' time.
But my thing with Leicester is that I don't know where you guys put your relegation line in terms of points. Mine's at 36. So that means Leicester need to find a way to get 3 wins. Even though there's 9 games left, they can't get 9 draws. But I don't think 36 will be the number. I think it might be 32. But if it's 32, then they just need to win one of those games. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of felt like Leicester may be left out, because they're on 30. They're in on 27 points. But if I look at the table, Leicester's on 27, Newcastle's on 25, Brentford's on 24, Leeds is on 23, Everton 22, Burnley 21, Watford 19, and Norwich 17. I kind of look and say, okay, but they can be dragged into the scrap. It just might end up being second last weekend where they play a game at home and somehow they scrape a draw to go in because somebody's lost somewhere along the way. So I think Leicester might be helped because there'll be other teams at the bottom that are going to just stuff it up. But one question, is there a team that's going to hire Sam Allardyce at this point in time? There's about 10 games to go, 9 games to go. Is there a team that you think should hire Sam Allardyce and they can turn it around? Or is it all she wrote for Norwich, and Watford have got Roy Hodgson, so I don't think they'll fire him. But is there a way for, like, I don't know?
Would you be surprised if Watford buy another boss before they do
that? I wouldn't be. They probably will. 5 games to go, Sam. It's your job to keep us up. Let's go, boy. And then have it. No one's going to get big Sam in, I don't think. I think the time for Watford to have got Sam in was now. if they were.
Okay. Dean, on your list, you have a point on Leicester?
Yeah. So the one thing I wanted to say about Leicester is they've played the least amount of games of anyone in the Prem so far. So they've only played 23. So they've got the most games to catch up. Now, depending how the Premier League span those out or space those out, they could very well sit in a situation where they're playing 3 games in a week if it starts getting to that, where they're playing weekend, midweek, weekend. And if that squad is already very thin, as we know, there's no Vardy, they don't have all the guy, like Barnes is still not back, I don't think. That could come into the conversation a little bit more of how far away those remaining games are, or how evenly spread they are, and then how often they are going to have to be forced to play with that already weakened.
They get themselves into a rut. It's going to be very difficult for them to get very difficult for themselves to get out of that rut.
If you're losing Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday,
if they win their Europa League games,
if
they beat Run and then they have to play Europa League plus catch up these fixtures, they're going to be playing 3, and I reckon they might be a game week where they're playing 4 games in.
They could have like a triple, quadruple game week like FPL, but like it's Leicester are just. I think they have the quality to stay up. I don't think they'll go down, but it could be very interesting to see how the Premier League sorts that out, because that's a conundrum.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. That was a very comprehensive discussion on the relegation battle. I do feel sorry for Norwich fans. If you're a Norwich fan, I'm really sorry. If you're a Watford fan, I'm also sorry too. I just want to know how much for Emmanuel Dennis, because I need a striker. Outside of that, thank you very much, guys. Remember.
Fulham's at the top of the table.
Norwich and Fulham. Every season.
Apparently, Mitrovic is tearing it up in the championship. So man's going to come back in the Prem, score 0 goals,
and
Black Jack Willie, dude.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Remember, this is going to be come out soon this week. Please do check Classic Shirts ZA's Instagram page or their website. The price will be revealed this week, and you can purchase your own piece of South African history. Outside of that, guys, thank you very much. We'll have an FPL show later this week, so please do watch out for that. My free hit's working out really well, so I'm waiting for Vote Verkhorst to score more goals, because someone captained Vote Verkhorst and they didn't do anything. But luckily, I captained Son, so thank God. But outside of that, goodbye, everyone. Have a good day. Lesale kakagiso.